Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 here in the Risoux Forest. Although, to be honest, it doesn't look like we're going to have any problems here. The bit that I want to avoid is over this way. So let me just go along the brow of the hill this way. There, this is where you sometimes get issues. That, and then I'll come over this side. It's that bit there. I don't want to flatten that. So I'm just going to sort of come up near it like this. And I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Let's start you up and move you back out of the way. And then I got to decide how I'm going to make this field and where I'm going to make this field. So if that one goes there, you come down that track there and into this field. We've got that line of trees there, which possibly we could keep, and then there'd be like a border between the two fields. But I'm not sure about it yet, so we'll leave that and we won't worry about it. Now, the cows. We had 1,000 litres left with the cows when we finished up previously. I've now got 1,800, and we were on 20,000. I'm pretty sure if I skip the night now, I'm going to wind up without any food left at all, which means that their health is going to go down, and that's going to affect the value of the animals, which I really don't want to happen. But at the same time, I do also want to find out what happens to the cows. So we will skip one night. We'll do one night. And then we can see if they do actually run out, because we're still not going to be buying any, because May is the last day of spring. So it'll be June when we buy the next lot. We've got to go and do some other things first. So let's skip on up this way. Have a look. And we've completely run out of food. Animal health is only 99%, so we've only just run out of food. So that, at least, is in our favour. But what that does mean is that from this point on... Which have I got in here? I've only got 4,000 litres left in here. From this point on, we are going to need to feed these animals a little more regularly. As in, we're going to need to feed these animals every evening as well. Because they hold 1 month worth of food. I've got no food left in there. I'll get some food from here. I'm not going to get very much, because I've just put 4,000 litres in, which is enough to keep them going for a little while. But I'm not going to have this ready before everything else is finished. So I'm going to get 26,000. That should be fine. If I reverse in and put that in, because our tractor won't fit in this shed, which is a little bit of a jolly nuisance, but we can live with it. Swing round sharp like that. There we go. Right, we'll put you in there. There is the cows feeded it, and they will also start producing manure soon when we have made our field down the bottom. Obviously, we've not made the field yet. That's still on our to-do list. So I'm just going to stop you there. Jump over to this one. We'll go over to the smallest field first, and we'll start cutting that one, and then we'll work our way back through, I think. And the grass we need to gather up and put in the hay silo. Steady. I didn't look to see how much we got in the shed. We've got like 300,000 in there. Does it show up on the storage list? I'm not actually sure if it does or not. Should do, because it's... Yes, it does. Okay, so we've got 300,000 litres of hay, which is probably alright for now, but I'm still going to put this lot... I'm going to make this all into hay as well, and this is going to go in for those cows on top of what we've already got. So let's fire this one up. I love the way this fires up. I love the way that you unfold it, but it doesn't actually raise itself up until you first fire it up, and then it won't lower itself back down again until you fold the mower back up again. So it will still lift up and down, but it just kind of like does things a little bit differently. This is a machine that very much dances to its own tune. And I kind of admire that. It's also a bit of a jolly nuisance when you want the hired help to do a neat and tidy job on the end of the rows, and it just doesn't. That's when this machine dancing to its own tune becomes a little bit frustrating, because, you know, there are times when it would be better if it could dance to a more communal tune, something that's a little bit more helpful to everybody around it. But, well, beggars can't be choosers, so we'll stick with just generally accepting it. It does most of the things that we would like it to do, just maybe not necessarily everything. So if I bring you over here like this, I'm not going to bother about hired help on this field. Doesn't seem like it's going to be particularly beneficial to us. So what we'll do now is, if I bring that up like that, and it will whiz up through here. So I'm also not going to worry about using a rake. We will just stick with the rows as we have them now. And yes, it might be better to use a rake, as in it would increase the speed that we pick up the grass. But you've also then got to actually drive the rake around, which I think overall is going to end up making everything take longer. So we'll avoid the rake. Leave that bit out. And the only other thing is, no. I was thinking maybe we could have like the rake do around the outsides. But no, I don't think it's going to be beneficial to us either. And the only other option that we could use is one that I was thinking about anyway, and that is possibly putting the forage wagon on the back of this one. Now, that is something that we can do in theory. Does have the hitch and everything on there. I'm just not sure how good it's going to work out doing that. How can it do it with the hired help? I'll have a think about that. I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'm genuinely sort of torn as to whether I think that that would be a good thing to do or not, having the forage wagon on the back of this one. I'm going to go up and do the other small field, and then we'll come down and we can do a couple times around the outside on the big field here, and then we can just leave it going. Hired help to deal with all of that while we go and get started with picking everything else up. Just have a drink. It's always important to stay hydrated, which is why I drink coffee by the gallon, because, you know, coffee's a diuretic. So, yeah, I'm drinking a liquid specifically designed to remove liquid from my system, which does complicate things somewhat, but also means that, well, I just have this theory that if I drink more to compensate for the fact that it's pushing the liquid out of my system, then everything is going to be tickety-boo, and so I'll just go with that. That's my theory, and so far it seems to work. I haven't really had any issues with doing it like that. I mean, I do usually have a large drink of water at tea time, so, well, I say water, it's actually, I usually have fruit juice, but same difference. I do have fluids besides coffee at tea time, and then that's about it. I drink coffee continuously for the rest of the day. I even have a cup of coffee just before going to bed. Well, not necessarily just before, maybe like, you know, an hour before. I have my fresh cup of coffee an hour or two before, and then just slowly drink it as I'm winding down, playing a computer game or two for the evening, that sort of thing. I feel that's quite a normal thing to go and do, isn't it? A nice bedtime. There's lots of people that have a bedtime cup of hot chocolate, so what's wrong with having a bedtime cup of coffee? I feel that there is pretty much no difference between the two. I fail to see any issues with that whatsoever. It's not like I'm drinking espressos before I go. Now, you know, obviously, if I was drinking espressos, that might be considered a little daft. But I'm not drinking espresso. I'm just drinking regular coffee, and I feel that there's no problem with drinking a load of that before I go to sleep. I don't feel tired. I don't feel like I haven't rested. I get into bed and I fall straight to sleep, out like a light, sleep like a baby, and then carry on again in the morning. So I'm fairly certain that that the whole drinking coffee before you go to bed thing is nothing more than a myth, because I think it's just like hot chocolate. It helps you relax and go to sleep. There's lots of people drink hot chocolate before they go to sleep. Is this not true? I'm not going to do any research whatsoever on the internet about this, and I'm going to disregard any medical advice that anybody gives me in the comment section about not drinking caffeine right before I go to sleep, because none of you are trained doctors, and if you are, then obviously you're just working for, I don't know, someone who doesn't like me drinking coffee, and so therefore it's yeah. I will have excuses. I will have excuses, and I will continue to drink my coffee. So there is no point in arguing that I shouldn't drink my coffee before I go to bed. It's going to happen, one way or another, even if I have to creep down to my kitchen in secret and drink the coffee because if someone has managed to find their way into my house and is guarding the coffee pot. You better be well armed, because I will fight you. Okay, that's quite enough of that. I will finish gathering this up, and then we will dump this into the haymaker, and then we will wander off up to the other field, by which time our tractor up there should have finished making our mower up there should have finished doing the mowing. And then we can gather all of that field up and bring that back down, and then we've just got the big field. And I think the big field all fits into one trailer, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it did. I think it all managed to fit in. But Helper Bee has completed their task, so the mowing is now finished, which means if I just go and get this little bit over here, that is this field done as well. We can empty this out while we move the mower. Is there any more over this side? Nope. Is everything. And this tractor does actually seem to be doing a pretty good job of keeping everything moving. It's nice and powerful as well, and I like the turning circle on it. Only issue we got is it's a little bit too tall for the cattle shed, but that's just something that we will have to live with. So I'll start tipping that out in there, and while that does that, start you up, and let's just mow off this little tiny bit here, shall we? There. No, it does actually look like he's gotten all of it as well, which is rather handy. I'm not going to bother folding up just to go down here. We don't need to. Oh, actually, we might start needing to soon, because if we've got fence on the other side of here, that's going to possibly be causing us some problems. So let's go carry on with this. Go right out to the road now. And we can carry on down here with all of this. Right. We are going to have an absolutely huge amount of grass in here. Possibly more than we could ever cope with. We will wait and see. Every time I go around this field, I'm going out a little bit further. And at the moment, that's kind of a deliberate choice. Just curious how far out we can get and how much grass we can get from a single cut on this. Plus we can go quite quick, so it's not like we're spending hours extra when we do take on a bit more. Not to worry about it. You don't really want to get too close to the track on this side, because that's all gravel there, and then there's all the expensive cars and the houses with the windows and stuff like that, and that could just end up causing us problems and an insurance headache, as we've got to go then and deal with all these claims about stones going through car windows, which is It's never really a good thing. Like, I know that we can probably get away with it. It's not like we're short on cash. We've got 236,000 euros there sitting in our bank. I'm actually going to speed that up now. I'll go to 5 times speed, which seems to be a comfortable speed for us to work at. It means that time is slowly ticking by, but it's not doing so really, really slowly. Also, it's not doing so stupid fast either. So we've got the sense of time passing while we're doing our jobs, while we're doing the work, but the sense of time passing is also not so great that we're sort of under pressure to do a massive amount of this. Like get all of the mowing all completely finished before we've barely even begun. Okay, and I'm going to go right the way over here like this, just to get that little tiny bit there that I missed. And now I want to head down this side and make sure that I start correctly on the short runs. Because I could start the long runs, but that usually ends up causing us problems, doesn't it? So I'm going to head down over this way, and it's right here I want to go. And it's that angle there that I want to be at. So if I press H here... How is there nothing there? There's grass right in front of your mower. See? Let's try that again then, shall we? And move on up this way a little bit. Really doesn't want to work today. But I did press that button like 30 times then. I was trying the old familiar technique of, if it doesn't work, click 317,000 times and that will fix the problem. Guaranteed to work every time. Should just add in a small disclaimer here. No money back if it doesn't work. Just saying. Just saying. It's guaranteed to work every time, but we cannot offer refunds if it doesn't work for whatever reason, because the only possible reason it didn't work was because you did something wrong. That's the only possible explanation. So there will be no refunds because it's down to human error. Probably the error you made was, you know, trusting the dodgy-looking salesman. But that really does sound like a you problem. That's not a me problem. I'm the one with your money, so I'm walking away right now, and I'm quite happy. And oh, did wonder if I was lining those up correctly, and I didn't bother looking. Yeah. I'm going to redo those. I'm not happy with that. That's a little bit sloppy work, that is. Right, let's go down here. See if I can do it from that side. That might be better. So, if I sell all of these... Oops, sell... like that. I'll go to landscaping, painting, concrete, and I'll just fill in those couple little bits there, and then we will go to decoration, others, and it's this simple shed that we want, and yeah, that is the right way. So if I do it from this angle here, now that fence there isn't lined up with anything, so we're going to want to do it with this fence right here. I'll bring it over from the fence ever so slightly. And I can go right up against the fence. And I do want a bit of a gap in between them, but I've also got to make sure that I don't go back through the fence. So I think it's going to work out a bit better here. Something like that. Now, this is slightly difficult because of this tree in the way. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, ideal. Right, that's looking a little bit better. They're up against the fence, but now they're not sort of peeking right through the fence. And, yeah, they still seem mostly straight. That's better. That's more what I'm wanting there, I think, really. So, sorry about that. We had to just correct that issue. We can't go leaving stuff like that. That's absolutely terrible. That was just bad workmanship on my part. Now, I know that the whole thing was put together by the council, but the actual workers who went in and did it, although they are following a council plan, which means that it's going to be dull, grey, drab and weary, it's still going to be... They're still going to take a bit of pride in their work and make sure it's done properly. So, dull, grey, drab, weary, dreary, however you want to describe it, but also solid. Solid is another word that you would be able to add in there. I mean, I live in an ex-council house myself, and solid is definitely a word that could be applied. Like, everything in this place is solid, although mine was built in the 50s, and the newer properties don't tend to go quite so much towards the solid. They're now a little bit more towards the cheap, which, yeah, there's not a lot that I can say to defend that. It is just heading towards cheap, but that's largely, I think, because now the places are built for profit rather than for, you know, somewhere that's going to last for people to live in, and that's, well, that's just what it is. Obviously, it's going to be different in other countries. Every country is different, but in this country, the older council houses, they do look drab and dreary and not very pleasant to look at, but my goodness me, they built them to last. This place has been here for 70 years and has required very little maintenance. There's a little bit that has had to be done, but not much, and without a huge amount of work needing to be done, it will last another 70 years. There will be some small amount of maintenance work that will need to be done, but another 70 years is definitely not something that would be unusual for something like the building that I'm living in, and I could see it going on for a lot longer than that. So, I mean, these houses, although they don't look like much, they are still pretty solid, and that's kind of the effect that I've been going for with that block of flats. Something that's solid and dependable. I mean, yes, we've got that crumbling bit of plasterwork coming away next to the door. There was that patch around the patch of concrete that had fallen off the wall next to the door, where water ingress had happened, and then it had frozen, and because the water, it's not just freezing, though. Let me show you. Actually, I tell you what. Run down and have a look. We'll be a bit closer if we do it like this. So we're going to have a look down here. See that right there? That is not necessarily because of water getting in and then freezing and leaving it out. It's because there's been a minuscule crack in the concrete. Water has gotten in and it's reached the rebar in underneath, and then that's rusted and it's forced it off. Now, my property's not built like that. My property doesn't have any rebar in it anywhere. My property is built out of concrete blocks. So, because I've got a nice solid wall of concrete blocks holding my hat, as the walls of the double skin concrete blocks, and because I've got that instead of just poured and formed concrete, my place can stay here forever. Well, maybe not necessarily forever, but it's those metal bars that cause the problem. You know, if I actually lowered the pickup down on this thing, it probably would go a little bit better. Well, it'd probably be a little bit more efficient at putting the grass into the forage wagon if I actually lower the front down, which is what I didn't do the first time around. So yeah, my house being made out of concrete blocks means that if the water does soak into the concrete blocks, which it has done a lot, it's still going to work just fine. I'm going to bring you over here because I think that's a pretty cool picture right there. Yeah, the concrete blocks, they have gotten wet in some places where we've needed to do a little bit of work on the plaster work, stuff like that, but they don't rust. They just get wet and then that's it. So if you don't fix them, eventually you'll have water freezing and expanding and freezing and expanding, and it makes the cracks worse and worse and worse, and then eventually you do get some more serious problems. But if you sort of take care of the cracks to turn up in your render work every so often, then you don't need to worry about it. So stick on a good coat of paint and deal with the worst of the cracks that turn up every 10 years or so, and you're cooking on gas, man. Yeah, everything is tickety-boo and hunky-dory and just wonderful, and you'll have almost no problems at all. I'm not going to say you won't have any problems, because you will. You're living in a house. Houses have got a tendency to fall apart. It's just what happens with houses. I'm going to go over to you. Start you up. Now, we do seem to have actually done all the mowing everywhere else, so all I need to do is this little bit of mowing right here. So he decided that he didn't like that bit. That's fine, I suppose. He did do the rest of the field, so we'll credit where it's due. We'll let that slide, I think, just this once, but see that it doesn't happen again. We can't be putting up with this nonsense too often. I'm going to go in this way rather than in through the gateway. And I'm going to bring you over to here, and you're going to park there after we've washed you. So I'm not going to worry about doing the spreading just yet, the fertilizer, because I'm not going to use fertilizer this time. I'm going to do muck spreading. We're going to buy a muck spreader, and we're going to spread slurry on our fields, because we've got slurry now building up from our cattle. So it will take a bit longer than doing the other option, which is the who's we call it thingamajiggy, the fertilizer with the fertilizer spinner. It is going to take longer than that, but the other side of the coin is that, you know, we get a bit of variation. We get to do something a little bit different, and we get to play with a big slurry spreader. Now, you've got a couple of options with slurry spreaders. You can have ones that just spray the slurry out, and they don't generally go more than 10-12 meters, something like that. Maybe get them to spread a little bit further than that, but not really. You're not going to be breaking any records on the distance that you can spread. If, however, we were to go and get a slurry spreader that has a boom and a dribble bar on it instead, that's going to go a whole lot further. Unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.